If you're getting ready to plan an Ireland vacation in 2023, today's podcast has some advice you'll need to take note of. Hi, thanks so much for joining me again here on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Today, we are talking all about Ireland travel in 2023, and I'm going to give you the tips that you need to know before you start making your Ireland travel plans. For everyone new to the podcast, I just want to take a quick minute to introduce myself. My name is Jody Halstead, and I'm an author, publisher, Ireland vacation coach, tour coordinator, and obviously your host here on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. So that's a lot, but Ireland travel is my passion, and my goal 100% is to help people have an amazing Ireland vacation. And I have quite a few ways that I can help you. First of all, my website, Ireland Family Vacations, is a complete resource for Ireland vacation planning. It's filled with information on what to do and see, as well as handy tips for planning your trip and free itineraries to get your plans in motion quickly. I offer Ireland vacation coaching services and custom itinerary creations to help you maximize your Ireland experience. And I do one, maybe two small group guided tours a year that are designed to not only deliver the Ireland that you've been dreaming of, but to introduce you to the people and places that make the country so very special. And then my Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal walks you step by step through your Ireland vacation planning process. On a more personal note, I have two teenage daughters who have been traveling to and through Ireland with me since before they could toddle. One very understanding husband who loves it when I plan other people's vacations because it means I'm not planning my own. And one very large, very fluffy dog who prefers that we stay in the U.S. and travel by RV so she can come along with us. Now that you know all about me, let's jump into what you need to know as you consider planning an Ireland vacation in 2023. We're going to begin with rules and regulations. Now, right now, at the date of this recording, which is the 22nd of February 2023, there are currently no health restrictions in place on travel to or from Ireland. But we all know how quickly that can change, so there are a few sites in the show notes for you to check as you are making your travel plans. So current rules for traveling to Ireland are listed, current rules for returning to the U.S. after international travel, and current rules for Canadians returning home can also be found in the show notes. Now, I did the U.S. and Canada because those are my two largest listening markets. If you are outside of those markets, be sure to check the travel website for your government and learn the current rules for returning home from Ireland from your own country. Now, talking about travel rules and restrictions, we also have to mention cancellations. So you want to make sure that you read and understand cancellation policies before you make a booking. So before you book accommodations, airlines, car rental, any of that, check out the cancellation policies before you finalize. I also highly recommend purchasing travel insurance if you book tickets for tours that don't allow 100% refund if canceled, and also if you just cannot handle the loss that any canceled trip might pose. So again, link in the show notes. Learn more about purchasing travel insurance on my website. I kind of walk through how to figure out your own level of risk as well as what I look for in a travel insurance policy and where you can price those policies out to find the best policy for you. Now, I can already tell you 2023 is going to be busy. And there are some times already, end of August, early September. If you haven't booked flights yet, don't. Especially if Dublin is on your travel plans, because there's a massive American football game happening in Dublin, and the city is going to be absolutely crazy. Accommodations are very difficult to find if you can find them at all, and the prices are crazy high. So just know that it's going to be busy. And if you haven't already booked travel and that was kind of the dates that you were looking at, maybe consider some other dates. But also I want to share that Globus Travel has reported that the company's Ireland bookings at the end of 2022 were already at 93% of 2022 booking numbers. 2022 was hectic in Ireland because following COVID, there were some tourism sector shortages. They were trying to rebuild after being closed. And while many of those problems should be fixed in 2023, some businesses still may be experiencing staffing shortages. So just keep some of those things in mind as you are making your bookings. Now, flights are holding pretty steady. They're a little higher price-wise than they were in the past few years. I highly recommend monitoring your flights and knowing when to book. The sweet spot for booking flights is usually 6 to 8 weeks prior to your travel, but that can get a little dicey for some people. So by monitoring flights using flight tools such as Kayak and Airfare Watchdog and things like that, you're really going to be able to know when the best time to book your flight will be. And in the show notes, you will find a link to flight booking tips on my website. I kind of alluded to this a little bit back when I was talking about how Ireland is busy. But when you're booking accommodations, you need to realize that in 2023, accommodations are already scarce in some areas. And there are two reasons for that. The first reason is that tours from 2021 rebooked in 2023. Rebooked tours took a lot of accommodations off the market. The second part of that is that Ireland has nearly 70,000 Ukrainian refugees, and they are currently being housed in hotels and hostels across the country. So accommodations are at a premium. Book early. You might find that in some locations you're just not going to find the accommodations that you want. So be flexible as well. Car rental was another place where in 2022 you saw prices just climbing and climbing and climbing. Unfortunately, you will still find expensive car rental prices in Ireland, especially as we get into the tourist season. So you want to book your car rental early to get the best price. Higher prices, obviously, as we get into June, July, August, there's just not going to be the supply to meet the demand. So be sure to read my article, Everything You Need to Know About Car Rental in Ireland, so you aren't greeted with an expensive surprise. And then also keep in mind that petrol in Ireland is paid for by the liter, not by the gallon like you find in many places. So petrol is it comes out to around $6 per gallon right now. So I'm really expecting train and bus travel to become more popular along busy tourist routes. So maybe Dublin to Galway, Dublin to Cork, Dublin to Belfast. So for those type of routes, or if you're planning to travel with a group of people on public transportation, book your tickets in advance so you are guaranteed a seat. But then you're not going to have room for luggage. So finding a vehicle that will hold 6 people or 7 people plus luggage is very, very difficult and also quite expensive. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that when you get onto the back roads and you're driving a large vehicle, you're more likely to have an accident. And if you have an accident in the vehicle and then it's not drivable, replacing that vehicle where you're at can be an absolute nightmare. So I highly, highly recommend that if you have a group of 6 or larger, you consider hiring a driver guide. And if you have a large group, also you need to keep in mind that minibuses and touring coaches are in high demand, and book those early. If you are interested in hiring a driver guide, you can contact me directly or using the driver guide form on my website, Ireland Family Vacations, and get a quote. I'm happy to help you find the best driver for your trip. Now, when you're booking tours and attractions, there are some places that you really need to book in advance, and those are places around Dublin usually. So we're talking about the Book of Kells, must book in advance. Kilmainham Jail, also, you must book that in advance. Booking opens 30 days prior to the date that you want to tour. So basically, you can book 30 days out, right? And those tickets will go quickly. Newgrange is another spot that is very popular. Tickets go fast, and I believe booking for that opens 30 to 60 days prior. So you want to watch those as well. There are some other things that you might want to book in advance, and those would include any shows. If you want to visit like Celtic Nights or Johnny Fox's, something like that, you need to get that booking in advance as well. Anything that has a limited capacity, go ahead and book that in advance to avoid disappointment. Now, if you read the news, you may have seen something called the European Travel Information and Authorization System, or the ETIAS. Now, that is coming online for Schengen member countries in 2023. And while Ireland is part of the EU, it is not a Schengen member. So, if your travel plans include other European countries beyond Ireland, you might want to visit etias.com to know what is needed before you travel. But currently, this is not affecting travel to Ireland. And finally, if you are visiting Ireland and you are an EU citizen, so if you are a citizen of the European Union, the Nationality and Borders Act is also set to be introduced early this year. This applies to Northern Ireland. This is part of Brexit. So non-Irish EU visitors to Northern Ireland will need to apply for electronic travel authorization to enter the UK. So if you are an EU citizen and you plan to go to Northern Ireland, do be sure to check into that before you travel. So that was probably quite a lot. I hope you will check out the show notes and go back, learn a little bit more, follow the links that I mentioned. But to kind of sum it all up, do your homework and book early. That was a lot, wasn't it? But really, as long as you do a little bit of planning, make sure you have your accommodations and transportation set, you should be good to go. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a 5-star review at your favorite podcast app. If you cannot leave a review on your podcast app, I invite you to visit the Ireland Family Vacations Facebook page and leave a review there. Or if you are listening on your mobile device, go ahead, snap a screenshot, pop it into your Instagram stories, and tag me at Ireland Family Vacations with a few kind words. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, Jody, Jody, at IrelandFamilyVacations.com, and I will get right back to you. As always, I want to thank you so much for listening today, and until next time, Slán go fóill.